Today we're talking about something that's been hotly discussed in Toronto recently, the introduction of 2 transit priority corridors on Bathurst and Dufferin in preparation for the FIFA World Cup in 2026. The projects would involve converting parking lanes to transit-only lanes along corridors which carry a combined 75,000 daily transit users, reducing travel times by roughly 10 minutes per corridor. Both of the projects have been under major controversy with a very local group of residents concerned about losing street parking, so today we're going to look at why these lanes need to be painted and how locals can continue to live comfortably with the removal of a few parking spaces. Public consultation for both corridors closes on May 26, so you still have time to voice your support for the corridors, which you can do by completing the surveys for both Bathurst and Duffren, emailing city councillors, and completing a petition by TTC riders. You can find links and email addresses in the description of this video to make sure these lanes happen. Now, the RapidTO program was first launched in 2020 in Scarborough, with lanes on Jane, Dufferin, Finch, and Steeles meant to follow soon after. 5 years later, and the RapidTO lanes on Jane are still in the planning stage, and the Finch and Steeles lanes have seemingly been forgotten. But with the FIFA World Cup coming to Toronto next year, the city has marked Dufferin and Bathurst as priority corridors because they serve routes connecting to BMO Field, which will host the World Cup. The RapidTO lanes on Duffren have been shortened from their original proposed full length to only being south of Eglinton, but will still have great benefit. Dufferin is served by local and express buses with the 29 and 929, which see a combined ridership of over 40,000 riders per day, making it Toronto's 5th busiest bus corridor. That's more than Chicago's 3rd busiest metro line, the Brown Line, had last year. These routes pull well above their weight and have been nicknamed the Suffering Dufferin by locals because of the slow, overcrowded, unreliable, and bumpy ride. Proposed RapidTO changes include increasing turn restrictions at intersections, removing street parking, and of course painting curb bus lanes. If you've ever ridden surface transit in Toronto, you'll know that signal priority, while active at many intersections, doesn't quite do much in terms of prioritizing transit vehicles, although they will be active along this corridor. Along the 511 streetcar route south of Bloor, RapidTO lanes will be in the center of the street on the streetcar tracks. Along Duffren, 15 Green P and 128 permit parking spaces will be removed. There are currently only 41 permit holders according to the City of Toronto, and neighboring streets have space to accommodate more parked cars. Unsigned parking, which allows parking during off-peak times, is also being removed. It's important to note that the accessible parking spaces along Dufferin and Bathurst are being maintained. A small but vocal group of residents has launched a campaign to fight the bus lanes, which will save up to 10 minutes per ride from Eglinton to Dufferin Gate. That's well over 1,000 hours saved per day if you factor in every rider. Residents concerned with the changes claim that the lanes are being rushed in, even though it's 5 years in the making. They also say that basic living will become impossible because parking and stopping at the curb won't be allowed. With faster, more reliable bus service, there's no reason people can't consider using the bus instead of driving, and having to park 100 or 200 meters away is barely an inconvenience compared to the 40,000 bus riders being stuck in traffic. On Bathurst, another group, likely run by the same people, is citing similar concerns and using AI videos to voice their thoughts. Bathurst is home to the 7 Bathurst bus north of Bloor and the 511 streetcar south of Bloor to BMO Field and Exhibition. The 2 routes have a combined daily ridership of 35,000, with an average speed of under 11 kilometers per hour and an on-time performance hovering around 70%. Summerhill Market and other businesses along Bathurst have also put up posters saying the bus lanes will force them to close because delivery access and customers will lose street parking. First, it's important to acknowledge that Summerhill Market has a parking lot, which can be used for deliveries during the day and accessible customer parking. Other customers can park on side streets up to 100 meters away, and Summerhill Market and other stores also have laneway access behind them. Other businesses may need to do delivery loading on side streets 100 or 200 meters away, but that's why dollies exist, to make carrying heavy things easier. Also, the Loblaws a few blocks away has people park up to 165 meters from the store entrance. Clearly carrying groceries isn't impossible. Another store on Bathurst, Santaguda Fine Foods, has the same posters claiming they might have to close because loading will be impossible, while simultaneously having space to park 3 of their delivery vehicles on their own property. It's fine to voice legitimate concerns and give feedback, but trying to prevent transit improvement when there are obvious alternatives is disappointing. Among other requests, the Protect Bathurst and Protect Duffren groups are asking for the RapidTO projects to be paused for more consultation and suggesting the bus lanes be rush hour only. However, this misses the mark because as someone who commutes on Bathurst quite often, traffic occurs outside of rush hour too, especially on weekends, and buses are still slowed down significantly. That being said, there is limited traffic after 10 p.m. and before 7 a.m., and that's a time when specific businesses could be allowed to use lanes for deliveries if they don't have laneway access. Spending a few minutes on Bathurst during rush hour when stopping and parking isn't allowed, several vehicles were stopping and parking in the curb lane anyway. Painted bus lanes will help to prevent this because it's another visual reminder, but if someone desperately needs to stop in the bus lane, I doubt paint will stop them. I also really doubt that people will stop shopping on Bathurst or Duffren because a few parking spots are being removed. This argument severely undercuts how many people shop by foot, bike, or transit, which again will become faster and more reliable. For both residents and businesses, they should be aware that on Bathurst, there are only 385 meters without laneway access on at least one side of the street between DuPont and Queen. On Duffren, there are about 2,000 meters, although this is offset by parking lots and Dufferin Mall. I've even seen transit advocates push back against the bus lanes being immediately necessary because of how the TTC operates. Sure, TTC route management is less than ideal, and many improvements can be made without the bus lanes, but speed, frequency, and reliability are all important steps to take, and the RapidTO lanes will no doubt speed up existing trips, saving the 75,000 transit riders lots of time. In addition to that, the TTC should focus on improving frequencies and ensuring buses don't stay bunched, which leaves long gaps in service. I personally don't think the project goes far enough, especially on Bathurst streetcar alignment south of Bloor, where the lanes end at intersections to allow left-turning cars to block streetcars while waiting for a gap in the opposing direction. The lane should also be extended farther north so that these corridors benefit more substantially. Finally, far side stops, along with aggressive transit signal priority, would do even more to speed up trips, preventing buses from having to stop at intersections unnecessarily. Aside from the RapidTO lanes proposed for the World Cup, the city has failed to properly address the speed and reliability of transit riders in the downtown core. During a detour of the Queen and King streetcar routes, Queen and King streetcars are stuck in mixed traffic on Richmond and Adelaide while operating a bit of a spaghetti route. Last year, the Spadina streetcar was closed for maintenance and shuttle buses were so slow, part of the route got removed, before a temporary bus lane was painted a month later. On King Street, the relaxed rules of the King Street Transit Priority Corridor has resulted in travel times for streetcars rising back to pre-installation levels because car drivers don't follow any of the restrictions and there's very limited enforcement. To solve these issues, traffic wardens are at many downtown intersections to help keep streetcars and cars moving throughout the traffic chaos. Mayor Chow has also put forward a motion at this most recent City Council meeting to assess ways to accelerate streetcars during this detour as soon as possible. I wouldn't be surprised if temporary streetcar lanes get painted. Toronto has already tried being relaxed with transit priority. It doesn't work. So that's why we need to paint the red lanes immediately and make changes after the fact if issues for businesses and residents truly arise. Doing deliveries at night makes the most sense, although as previously mentioned, most of Bathurst already has laneway access. The TTC and City can also be much more ambitious with transit operations and infrastructure for RapidTO, but that's no reason to suggest bus lanes aren't needed. Don't let a lack of imagination prevent even the slightest changes to create better cities. Thanks for watching, and remember to voice your support to City Council for these projects before May 26.